Welcome to the TJ Mauldin Leadership Podcast, where we talk about life, leadership, and the gospel.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the TJ Mauldin Leadership Podcast. I was just telling the crew, I'm feeling a little bit of the episode 1, season 5 jitters. It's been a while since we've been together. It's been a while since I've been able to hang out and just to download, to unpack, to present to you cool little snippets of information when it comes to life and leadership and the gospel. And I always say I'm excited, but I really am excited about today and the episode. What I want to talk about today for just a few minutes is the qualities of a CO. Now, I'm going to unpack what CO is in a few minutes, and you'll kind of grab a hold of this. But this past week, my plane landed last night. So this is fresh, like hot off the press information, leadership perspective, okay? So I have the opportunity, you guys know this, I've shared it with you before, but I'm a trustee on the North American Mission Board. And so we fly around the country, we fly around North America to different send cities, places where we plant churches, places where we have chaplains stationed, places where we're doing great outreach and mission work. And so this past week, I had the opportunity to go and spend 3 days in San Diego, California, right? And so it was just this really, really cool, I've never been to San Diego, but landing, it was really cool. And there's all these ships, all these destroyers and carriers and Coronados there where we train our Navy SEALs. And it's just a really, really cool environment. And we had the privilege of touring this ship, the USS Macon Island is what it was called. And so, y'all, listen, we toured this ship, and on the ship, we see, they have like a grocery store on the ship, and if you're a service member, you know what I'm talking about, but there's a dentist's office, and an operating room, and a chapel, and a chaplain's office, and all these bunks and barracks, and they're not called barracks, they were called something else, but it slips my mind right now. But we met all of these incredible seamen and women and people who were just working, from mechanics to people who were detailing the missile launchers. It was the coolest thing ever, right? And so we spend a couple hours touring USS Macon Island. It was a great opportunity from the U.S. Navy to afford us this privilege. And so we're walking around, and I'm always chatting it up with somebody or talking or trying to look and see. So we get into this. We get into, I guess it's not the crow's nest, but it's kind of like the where you drive the ship from, okay? It's the very top, it's top deck or whatever, and you can look out and you can see for a long ways, and it's really cool, and there's all these instruments and people scurrying around, and we kind of get debriefed on the room. And there are a couple chairs in the room, and there's this one chair in the room, and it's it sits higher than all the other chairs. It's in this prominent position in the core of the room. And it said on the back of the chair, all it said was CO. Now, if you're in the military, you've been around this, you already get where I'm going. But it says CO, and I was like, man, that's interesting. And the chaplain on the ship said this. He was like, no one sits in the CO's chair. The CO's chair, not even as a joke. You don't sit in this position. This place comes with great honor and respect. So nobody sits there. It's reserved for one person. And so then we just kind of go on throughout the ship, and that was about the halfway point of the tour, and we continue going around, and we end up on the flight deck, and the flight deck is really, really cool. It's where we land our F-35s, and it's like Black Hawk helicopters, or the Navy's version of Black Hawk helicopters. Anything that can take off vertically lands on this ship. It is really, really cool. And so we get down to the flight deck, and we meet all of these maintenance guys, and they're all in the same color coveralls, right? And they're just grinding. They're working. They're sweeping the flight deck. They're making sure chains and ropes and all these things are set in the right place. And there's a few of them that are sitting kind of on a golf cart. They've been working, doing their thing, And we get to meet them, and one of the flight deck operators, he kind of gives us the spiel, right? Like, this is what happens here. Here are the planes, blah, 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 blah. And we're concluding the tour. And the chaplain, the guy they call Chaps, I see him go up to this guy, and this dude, this guy goes to give him a hug, and the chaplain backs up, and he salutes this guy, and he bros him up. Like, this guy gives him a big hug, and like, hey man, so good to see you. And everybody's talking to this guy, and he's just in this pair of coveralls with everybody else, just grinding and working on the flight deck. And all of a sudden, at the end of the tour, the chaplain says, hey, listen, we want to thank the CO, the commanding officer of the USS Macon, and he actually wants to take a minute just to tell you how much he appreciates you investing your time to tour the ship and to just to have this opportunity today. And so this guy who had been hanging out with the maintenance guys, who was dressed just like a maintenance guy, he walks up in front of everybody and he begins to thank us. And so it was the guy that had given the chaplain the hug and the one that was just hanging out with, honestly, probably some of the lowest ranked people on the ship. He was hanging out with them and he was doing work with them. And probably no one else noticed this in our group. Nobody said anything. So I just kind of tucked this away in the back of my mind. In my heart, I was like, oh. But I looked at this moment to where you are the most important person on this ship. You are the guy that you give a command, and there are about 940 sailors that will live on this ship, and when they're in transport, they will transport about 2,000 Marines as well on this ship. And so he'll have 3,000 people under his command. If he says something, if he says jump, they say how high, yes sir. I mean, they're all about. And this dude was in his maintenance coveralls on the deck, hanging out with his guys. And when I saw this, I was like, man, that's the kind of leader that I want to be. By title, he had the greatest position. He had the greatest platform. He had the most authority. He had all the power on the boat, right? Or on the ship. It's not a boat. On the ship. And instead of sitting in the CO's chair, the ship wasn't moving. And so he was not sitting in a place of prominence watching everybody else work and do their thing. He was with the people. And I thought, man, when it comes to being a leader, when it comes to being in any organization, when it comes to being a boss, a friend, a parent, on a sports team, it doesn't matter. We will in our lives be gifted and afforded position. Proverbs 18:16 says that your gift will make room for you and bring you before great men. And so there's a few things. I'm going to give you your points today. We got 4 points, all right? So the first thing is this. All of us in our lives, every single person will hold some position, whether that's in an organization or in the context of a family, in the context of a friend group. There will be a position that you hold in someone's life, on some team, at some job. You will sit in the CO's chair, or your name would be on the back of it. And what I recognize, that's a God-ordained position. God has gifted us to have gifts and callings and strengths and abilities that put us in position to affect other people's lives for the glory of God and for their good. And so I was thinking, man, this guy got to this place because it's a gift from the Lord, I believe, because I'm a Christian, right? That God is sovereign, so he's in control. Scripture says that he puts one ruler down and he puts another ruler on the throne. So every great position, every position that we hold is because it's been ordained by God and God has gifted us that position. But then I thought about what it took to get to that position. That's a gift, right? That position, that place is a gift, but it came with great grit and hard work and humility and integrity. You don't just stumble into the CO's chair. And even if you somehow make it there, you will not last very long if you don't have grit and hard work and humility and integrity. And so I had this thought when I was thinking about the position, all of us will have moments in our lives where we are afforded an opportunity to sit in the CO's chair, to be in a position of influence, a position of, a high caliber position where we get to have sway with our influence over other people's lives. And this is what I was thinking about. And this is what I want to talk about for a few minutes. Position and influence, those two things, that doesn't equal great leadership. Because I guarantee you, over the years, there have been terrible leaders that sit in the CO's chair, right? There have been terrible pastors that lead churches. They're, terrible heads of households that don't lead their families well, right? So position alone does not equal great leader. But this is what I recognized when I was looking at this guy on the flight deck in common working clothes, and in the context of the Navy. This may be, I would venture to say this is probably commonplace or common practice. I don't know, but like it just struck me in this moment as like, man, him having the CO's chair did not make him a great leader. The way that he lived his life as the CO is what made him a great leader. And so when we're put in positions of influence and leadership and sway over organizations or even people's lives, that doesn't mean we're a great leader. It means we have an opportunity to be a great leader. And so I started evaluating, even when I was flying home and spending time on the plane and just mulling over this. It really, the position that you're in your life, and you may say, well, TJ, I'm a mechanic, or I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, TJ, I'm an architect, or I'm an engineer, or man, I'm a clerk at the local DG, and I'm just trying to figure life out and do what I can, make ends meet to survive. The reality is this: you still have a position. And every position that you're in your life is going to open the door for you to be a great leader and for you to affect change for the good of other people and for you to live in humility and integrity and hard work. Or, check this out, it will open the door for you to be prideful. Like that CEO's chair, I can't imagine. Like, can you imagine what it would be like under your control to be like, you know what? We're sending 45 Tomahawks to this island. Boom. You make the call, right? Like, hey, we're turning 3 degrees left. You have 3,000 killing machines under your command. You have one of the largest ships in the world, in the greatest Navy of all time, right? From America. Like how I'm thinking about this, I'm like, you're sitting in the CO's chair. There's no doubt that at some point you've got to, you have to be tempted to think, I'm the freaking man, right? But instead, this dude is walking around in humility, serving other people and shoulder to shoulder with his team and crew. And that's when the thought hit me. His position did not make him a great leader. It opened the door for him to choose what kind of leader he was going to be. It opened the door for him to decide what kind of leader, what kind of man, what kind of influence and sway, how am I going to wield this influence that God has gifted me with? And so 2 things. I think when that door opens and maybe you are maybe you're working your way up at DG, right? And you're right now you're swiping energy drinks and batteries and all those people that come in after the holidays and try to buy everything off the Valentine or the Christmas rack or whatever. And you're just, but man, I want to be a key holder, and then I want to be a manager, and then I want to use this opportunity to go to a different organization or whatever that looks like. Anytime that you get in a seat of authority or leadership, and anytime you get in a position to where you have influence or sway over someone's life, there will be the pitfall of pride, if you are not careful, that can swallow your life. That can absolutely take you down. And I want to give you a picture of what that looks like. This is what because I've been around leaders like this, and I've been tempted probably at times. Not probably. My ego and my pride, I'm sure. I can even think back on moments of my life, especially when I was younger, to where I fell in this pitfall of pride. And this is what pride says. When you have position married to pride, this is what it says. Look at me. I'm the man. Look at me. Like I am the stuff. What I say goes. Who I am matters. I am the captain of this ship. Pride says, look at me. Pride is egocentric. Pride says, listen to me. I have the best idea. I'm the CEO, right? I sit in this chair. Nobody else on this ship can sit in this chair. Nobody else on this, in this building has the thoughts and the ideas that I have. I am the leader. I am the man or the woman. If you're a woman listening to this, I am the person. So you know what? You need to look at me and you need to listen to me. And the third one would be this. You need to learn from me. I'm the CEO. I don't listen to the deckhand. I don't listen to the mechanic. Right? I don't listen to it right in the Navy or whatever it is. Like, I don't listen to the secretary. I have the answers. And we've seen this even in Scripture, right? Like, even in the Bible, there were people who they came to a place of leadership. You think about Nebuchadnezzar. He's like, literally, he was like, I'm going to build a statue to make everybody worship me. Like, look at me, listen to me. Everybody's going to bow when I say bow. Y'all going to do what I say. You're going to learn from me. You're going to implement, the worship of me the way that I want it, or I'm going to throw you into the fire. Literally, that was his. I mean, that's a snapshot of pride. Look at me, listen to me, learn from me. No one else can add anything to my life because I am the man. You think about how Nebuchadnezzar's life went. He recognized that God was sovereign and that God was the man. And that dude, right, descended from his throne quickly and kind of went mad for a while and hung out in the woods, and his hair grew long and he ate bugs and stuff, right? Like, go back and read that story. It's pretty wild. But like, that's the pitfall of pride. And so not only does everyone around you not want to be around you and think you're a jerk when you're living in the pitfall of pride, but you also miss out on the team that God has gifted you. You miss out on their voices. You miss out on the things that you can learn from them. Like, I'll say this. There was, I've shared this before, but there was a season of my life years and years ago where when I first started leading a worship band, I was probably 20 years old, y'all. So this is literally 20 years ago. And I had a great band with some good guys, and we had just put out our first album, and I might have shared this before, but I'm just peeling off a nasty Band-Aid, okay? But like, our drummer, who's now a church planter, his name is John Schroeder. He he said, "Hey man, I'd really like to pick the songs out. I'd like to plan the set list." And I said that, I remember where I was sitting, what the room looked like. I said, "Hey man, yeah, do me a favor." He said, "Yeah." I said, "Pick up our CD right there." And he said, "Okay." And he picked it up. I said, "Whose name's on that album?" And he said, "Well, it's TJ Mauldin Band." I said, "Yeah, when your name's on the album, you can pick out the song list. You can pick out the set list." I look back on that and I don't just cringe. Like, I feel a little bit of sadness because that guy left the band and then the guitar player left the band. And I was thinking like, oh, I'm just, we were getting busier and the band was growing. I was like, oh, these guys just had to leave, the train, the party's getting too big. They just had to exit because they can't hang. And what I realized is like, no, they just kind of probably hated me a little bit because I was stupid. And I said really harsh, unkind, egocentric, prideful things. And so the pitfall of pride cost me some great guys for a season. Now, all of those guys, I would take a bullet for them. They would for me. We're all great friends still. We actually support the Well Church in America, where John Schroeder's a pastor. We are a supporting church of his, and I love those guys. But I look back on that season, I'm like, my pride cost me some good voices that I was not willing to listen to because I wanted everybody to look at me. And so I'm saying that to you, like, especially if you're younger in leadership, if you're a young pastor, if you're entry level at a company, like, leverage your time to listen to people around you, to learn from the people around you, and to look at other people's and their gifts and their abilities. I learn from my team all the time. Like, someone told me, it was shortly after that, I brought a guy on into the band named Matt Tomlinson, and he really discipled me in some ways. And the thing was this, like, the Lord blessed me with an okay voice, right, to lead worship and to sing. And a way to, I think, communicate with a crowd. Like, God blessed me with the ability. This is the way I've always said it. I feel like I've been able to grab the hands of a congregation and grab the heart of God and, like, through musical worship, just pull those two together if I can, and like lead people to see God and love God and cherish God through worship. And so, I recognize that was a gift of mine. But check this out: I can't read music. Like, I can't really sing harmony. like my actual musical giftings are very, 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 very limited. And so, for a season, my pride made me isolate myself from great musicians, people that were better than me, people that were more skilled than me, people that could sing harmony, all these things, because I wouldn't learn from anybody, I wouldn't listen to anybody, and I wanted everybody to see me. Well, when John and Nick left the band, it pushed me to this place of being like, wait, if I want to be great at my craft and I want to serve people really well, I need to make sure I surround myself with people that are better than me. And so when I was willing to sacrifice my pride, I began to build a team around me of people that I genuinely think and believe are better than me at their craft and skill. And even at something that I do or have done, they're better than me at that, so I can listen to them and learn from them. And true story, right? Being willing to do that, like to humble myself 20 or 18 years ago now, there was about a 2-year season where this process took place. It allowed us to become a worship team to where, one, the leader was being humbled by the Lord, but I surrounded myself with musicians that could all blow me out of the water. They were all 10 times better than I ever dreamed of being. And that began a pattern to where now, even at our church, I look around at our staff, like the people that God has graced me to be able to hire, I look at them and like, there's a lot of things about them that's a lot better than, they're better at things than I am. And I want that. Because like the position that I was put in opened the door for me to either be a prideful leader that was stuck in a pitfall that wanted everybody to see him, wanted everybody to listen to him, wanted everybody to learn from me, or it opened the door to, by God's grace, through some crushing and some difficult times, I realized, wait, I want people around me that I'm willing to listen to. And like, I want to share this seat with them. Like, I want to bring people on the team in humility that can take us where we need to go. Because here's the deal. As amazing of a CEO as you might be, and I hope to be a good leader, like I hope my team would think at the end of the day, like TJ loves us, TJ provides for us, TJ thinks about us, TJ prays for us, and TJ leads us to the best of his ability. I hope they believe that about me. But at the same time, like even if I was a great leader and the CEO is a great CEO, like the CEO can't sit in the CEO chair and change the oil and be in the surgery center, right? And be in the dentist office and be in the chaplain's office. Like you have to have a team of highly qualified, incredible people. And if you're prideful, you will not get good people around you. They will leave as soon as they can. They will look for another assignment as often as they can. And so that's the pitfall when it comes to when you're gifted a position. Like you can be made prideful just by even though God gave you the position. He gave you the gifts and talents to put you in the position. He brought you before great men. But that door of position opening in your life, if you're not careful, will cultivate a pitfall of pride, or it will author in your life humility, and it usually comes like, you've already heard it, right? Humility usually comes on the back end of some scars and some wounds and some bruises and a lot of dumb choices, and I still make dumb choices, but what you'll recognize is that where these pitfalls are in pride, there are these things in humility that if you begin to cultivate them, they'll prop you up in your leadership and throughout life. They'll become a strong foundation. And where you have pride, that's the pitfall, you have humility that is really the foundation for great leadership exercise through whatever position God gives you. And so where pride says this, pride says, look at me. It's all about me. Humility says, look at the goal. Look at the mission. Look at what we get to do. Look at where we get to go. Look what God has given us. Where pride says, hey, it's all about me and the things that I've done and I've instituted and I've changed. Humility says, no. It's all about the mission. Like it's all about where we're going. It's all about the project, right? Like it's all about the team. It's all about these creative endeavors. It's all about the deadline, whatever it is, right? In your company, your industry, or even, in sports and hobbies, like it's all about the mission. Like working together towards the mission. So where pride says, look at me, humility, the leader in that position says, no, let's look at the mission. Let's take our eyes off of ourselves and put our eyes on where we're going. Like take our eyes off ourselves and put them on the calling. Like what God could do with this position, what God could do with this team, the places that God could take this ship if we humble ourselves and follow him. So humility says, look at the goal. And then it says, let me share the vision. Not, hey, listen to me because I have all the answers, but hey, usually if you're in the CEO's chair, you've been through some things, you've walked through some things. So like you have a vision, you have a hope, you have a direction. And so what you want to do in humility is you want to rally the team to go where God has called you to go. And rather than saying, look at me and listen to me, you say, let's look at the mission and let me share some vision with you of how I think we could get there. And ultimately, what humility does at the end of the day is it allows you to realize that, it's seared in my mind, the CEO standing on the deck, laughing and talking with probably the lowest ranked guys on the ship as if they were his equal. Or they were his equal. What I recognize is humility allows you to look at the goal as a team. The leader shares the vision. But then in humility, you realize, like, let's go together. Like who cares if I get to sail across the sea and do all these great campaigns and I know the mission, I see the mission. Everyone's willing to listen to me. Everyone's looking at me, and you recognize that as CEO. Everyone is looking and listening, but like how you wield that, like let's look at the goal. Let me share the vision, because I guarantee you there's a lot of CEOs in leadership who have gone to the mission, have done the thing, and they walk off the ship alone with 3,000 people under their charge because they didn't want to go together. They love the chair more than they love the crowd. They love the position more than they love the people. And pride convinced them that that was the goal of life, not connecting with the people that made the mission possible. And that's something that has just been on me ever since I watched this happen just a few days ago on the flight deck of this incredible ship. I thought, man, God, would you make me a leader? Like, I even started thinking friends of mine and people on staff, like, God, would you make us the kind of leaders who, like, we will leave the chair empty, right? Just to be with the people. Just to be with the greatest gift and the greatest goal, which is the hearts of men, right? Like to lead people to Christ, that they might know him and make him known. And so I won't keep you all day. You know, you may be driving, you're probably rolling across 75 or sitting in your car at home. You made it home and you're like, TJ, hurry up. I got to get out of the car and go in and do the thing, you know, fix dinner or whatever. So I want to give you this is how I want to close today. When I think about the qualities of a CEO, when I think about the qualities of a commanding officer, like the tip of the spear, the leader, there's 4 things really quickly that I gleaned from this guy. And I've talked about all of these on this podcast in different places, different time, but this is what I recognize about his life. And this is my hope for you, that you'll incorporate some way into your life if you want to lead with humility and with great influence. Is the first one: presence with people matters more than position. Like the CEO recognized that his presence with his guys, his willingness to be shoulder to shoulder, doing work with them, grinding, letting them know that he doesn't believe or think he's better than them. He's one of them. He loves them. He's responsible for their welfare, for their life, and for shepherding their souls, taking care of them, getting them back home to their families in one piece. Like this CEO, this leader, I'm not just a means to an end to him. That's what they know. So when you prioritize presence rather than falling in love with your position and your title, your team, and people can discern this, your team will know that this guy cares about me. This lady cares about me. I'll go where they want to go. I trust them and I believe them because they care more about presence than they do just their position. So prioritize presence over position. Your presence with your people over position. Be willing to work. Like, you have to work hard. You have to be willing to set the standard on what the grind looks like, right? Like, you can't be lazy. You can't lack knowledge in areas. Like, you should have a general knowledge of different areas of people under you so you can at least be conversational in the things that they're experts at. So be willing to work. Put in the work. Because I'll tell you this, if you get in a position of influence, in a place of leadership, and you're not willing to work and outwork your team as often as you can, like, they pick up on that. They're like, bro, this guy's lazy. This lady's lazy. I'm not following them. I don't trust them. I'm not following them. Like, they're probably sitting on their couch eating Cheetos, and we're all out here grinding for the glory of God or for the good of this initiative or this apartment complex we're building or whatever that looks like. So presence over position. Be willing to work. Establish the grind. You set the tone. Focus on the mission. Like, more than on preferences or your own personal desires. The mission matters most. Like, you are in your organization. Like, let me say this. The reason I'm at First Baptist, I did not come to Tifton, Georgia to be a lead pastor of a church. I fell in love with the mission of God. I came here out of obedience to sing a few songs in a little service they were planting at First Baptist. I fell in love with the mission of God, to love God, love people, multiply disciples, and I fell in love with the city. And so more than anything else, like, I love the mission, like, to love God, love people, multiply disciples. And there have been so many times we've had tough staff meetings to where little parts of TJ had to die, little preferences, little personal desires had to die so the mission could be primary. If you want to be a great leader, prioritize presence, right? Over position. Be willing to grind and to work, and then prioritize the mission over yourself. And then prioritize others over yourself. And that's the last one, like be others-centered. Like if you want to be a great leader, John Maxwell said it this way one time. He said, man, like if you think you're a leader and you're going on a journey and you're pointing and telling everybody where to go and you turn around and nobody's following you, you're just on a long walk. Like and a lot of leaders, like they're in the position, but nobody's following them because they're not other-centered. Care about your team. Think about your team. And I'll say this, even if you're leading from the second chair, maybe you're not like the primary guy. Maybe you're not the CEO. Maybe you're not the lead pastor. Maybe not you're, the chief designer on the project. Like, who cares? Begin to be other-centered. Think about the mission, right? Be present with people. Ask people how they're doing. I'll tell you this really quickly. There was a guy, I can't get into the details, but there's this guy who's a really prominent figure that had walked through some hard stuff in the last week. And he was around 100 at least people who recognize his accomplishments and his abilities and just an incredible guy. And I was leaving the hotel. He's transitioning in some work stuff. And I was leaving the hotel to go on a jog. And he passed me. And this is all I said. I looked at him and like I was tempted to say a million things, but this is all I said. I said, "Hey man, how's your heart?" And this was the overflow of my heart. I said, "How's your heart?" He was like I just saw it on his face. I'm telling the point of the story because of the way his face looked. He kind of looked at me. He was like, I'll be all right. Like, but I could tell, I just said, "How's your heart?" Like I wasn't asking about his job. I wasn't asking about his future. I wasn't asking about any organizations he was going to be a part of or start and probably become some of the greatest organizations around. Like I wasn't asking that. I was just saying, "How's your heart?" And like, man, I could feel it. I was like, nobody's asking that yet. Like, this guy's been walking through some really interesting stuff, but no, I don't think anybody's asking him how his heart is. And so just being other-centered like allows you to be in positions where you can care for other people in unique ways. And so even if like I don't have this opportunity I had to speak to this guy, like this dude's like, if you consider position, like his position far outranks mine in a lot of ways, but I still had the opportunity to be other-centered. And so I don't say that to be like, "Oh, look at me." I just say that like there's an example. Like if you're in the second chair or third chair, or, maybe you're just sweeping the floors at your company, like, your boss walks past, like, "Hey, how you doing? You doing all right? How's life?" Like, hey, like find some quality that you really appreciate about them. And like once a quarter, just point out a different quality. Like, "Hey, I really appreciate how you're thoughtful. Like you really take care of our team." Like, be other-centered. So listen, there's a CO in all of us, all right? That's what I'm going to say. There's my catchy, my catchphrase for the episode 5 season, or season 5, episode 1. Listen, y'all, it's been so long since I've done one of these things, I forgot even what I'm talking about. Episode 1, season 5, I do think there is a CO in every person. Like, there will be a position that God opens in your life, in every person's life, to where you have influence and sway to point people to the Lord, to point people to great life transformation, to point people to financial success, to point people to organizational success. And you being able to be in that position doesn't mean you're a great leader. What you do with your time there, and if you choose to walk in humility or pride, that will be the difference of if you're a great leader or not. Maintain the qualities of a great CEO, of a great CO. Be present with your people, work really hard, prioritize the mission, and just keep thinking about others. And I guarantee you'll garner the respect of others and you'll glorify God in what you do. Listen, I say it all the time. I'm so grateful that you give me some time and you hang out with me. I hope something that was said today will be beneficial to your life and to leadership, and even considering the gospel, that there is a God who loves you so much that he has gifted you positions and places and people to be around. And remember, if you ever have a question, if you ever want to talk, or have a topic that you're like, "Man, y'all should really cover this," TJ Mauldin Leadership Podcast at gmail.com. And I think that's it. Love you guys. See you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the TJ Mauldin Leadership Podcast, where we talk about life, leadership, and the gospel. If you enjoyed this episode, share with a friend. For more content, follow us on Instagram and YouTube. If you have any questions you would like to ask TJ, whether it is about life, leadership, or the gospel, you can email those to tjmauldinleadershippodcast@gmail.com. Thank you again for listening, and we hope you join us again on the TJ Mauldin Leadership Podcast.